This is the Parenthood and Children presentation for Sociology 323 by Ramirez. So things to consider when deciding about parenthood. First, we have the medicalization of childbirth and cesarean sections, the rewards and costs of parenthood, how children affect couple happiness, and choosing to be child-free. So first, the medicalization of childbirth and C-sections should be considered. Immediate considerations such as the baby or the mother's physical condition during childbirth should also be thought of before delivery. Should a delivery be planned? There are hundreds of variables that need to be taken into account regarding the baby's birth. This proves the complicated but beautiful process that having a child is. Children are a source of joy and a source of burden at the same time for their parents. Children need to go to school, they need to eat a lot of food, they need to have babysitters, they need to be medically treated, they need to have clothes on their back, and they need to partake in extracurricular activities. Of course, all these things are luxuries, but the expenses should be considered when deciding to raise a child or not. Of course, this decision in itself is one of those choices that not only affect one person, but two people, and there's no avoiding that couple conflict will be involved. This goes for all types of marriages, not just for heterosexual ones. And finally, many couples and marriages choose to be child-free. This is where the woman decides to not have a natural birth for any children. Different cultures treat this concept in different ways because some cultures rely on their young to maintain that type of hard work that the older generations cannot do anymore. And in America, many child-free couples are looked down upon because children are considered to be a very important part to a successful marriage. So things to consider when deciding about parenthood, part 2. The parenting style you were brought up with, as well as the parenting style that you aim to apply while raising the child. Every good parent wants what's best for their children, so recognizing the errors in a parent's ways or realizing where the parent could have been maybe more affectionate or more considerate, even if it was something that was small, it can help. It could help the way that one would raise a child of their own. For example, an authoritative parenting style was shown to be more associated with significantly more secure adult attachments and more emotional intelligence. How have parenting trends changed over the years? First, I'll be talking about mistimed birth rates and then the economic value of having children. In 2019, 45% of all pregnancies were unintended, and 60% of these births were where the couple did not want to have children at the time. Maybe they eventually did, but they ended up conceiving a child before they wanted to. Fortunately, nowadays, unintended pregnancies have been declining. And next, on to economic value of children. Children historically have been economic assets to communities because they work and listen to their parents. But as soon as the shift from agricultural work to industrial work took place, there was also another shift in the economic value of children. It dropped. The development of compulsory education turned children into liabilities rather than assets. The fees for planned and prepared integration from childhood to society has decreased the economic value of having children. This is part 2 of how parenting trends have changed, and I'm going to talk about divorce trends. We live in a society that's always changing, but one of the most important statistics regarding parenting and children is the divorce of the two that are in the relationship. The great majority of adults in the United States are married, but each year a substantial number of marriages end in divorce. In the 1960s, actually, there were more than 390,000 divorces, and this affected the lives of 780,000 adults and their 460,000 children. The current divorce rate in America is 290,000 per year, according to the CDC. More couples are maintaining their marriage and ultimately positively affecting the lives of the children compared to those in the 60s. It's a positive trend. What are some advantages to parenting in the 21st century? First, I'll be talking about not just married couples having children, and then societal norms of families. According to the Census Bureau of Definitions, a single parent can either be cohabiting or not. Americans are very creative in fashioning their parenting arrangements, and the census does not have an account for co-parenting siblings who live together. Parenting can be done in many ways, and this was not always the case. This fluidity is more of a norm nowadays, and the advantage to this is that children will not be negatively affected by a family that does not hold a traditional structure. And parents trust their children a lot more nowadays. Children walk home from school alone. They hang out at each other's houses. They let their parents know of what they're doing. The parent acknowledges that, and then they're on their way, and they come back before dinner. This trust can often result in a stronger relationship than one would from an authoritative parenting style, a more traditional style. And what are some challenges to parenting in the 21st century? First, I'll be discussing employment and then societal opinion. Many parents still worry about how they'll be able to handle taking care of their child while maintaining a job, since it is very expensive to raise a child in the US, because first you'll be paying for their clothes, their food, ultimately their phone bill, their child support, babysitters, and this is not free, so parents sometimes will have to work 2 to 3 jobs just to cover the living expenses of a child, not to mention the extracurricular activities. Also, raising a child in today's society is raising one in a technological world that is filled with conflicting values and points of view, and ways to express themselves. This can be helpful in a lot of ways, but the challenge is that the child may not know what to believe in, of course, and that's all natural, and it comes with growing up, and sometimes they'll even have conflicting views to the parents. Now, this is more often the case, but it's also a healthy challenge, challenge not necessarily a negative one, but it's good to have these conversations, especially with the parents, to grow and maybe even to give the parent a better perspective on some more hot topic matters that the child has a strong opinion on. And of course, this is when the child grows up to be older than, in their teens maybe. This is where these types of conversations will come up, where it can be beneficial for both sides of the argument. And this concludes my presentation. Thank you very much.